Have you ever wondered about the hidden secrets in the scriptures? While many focus on the Bible's practical lessons, there are mysterious figures that challenge our understanding. Beings like the 24 elders, Behemoth, and the fearsome Leviathan aren't just ancient accounts. They carry deep lessons about power, authority, and the mysteries of the universe. The curious thing is that, despite being in the pages of the Bible, few truly understand the hidden meaning behind these figures. Now imagine if you could finally uncover what these beings really represent. A journey full of surprises, challenges, and unexpected revelations awaits you. It's not a matter of faith, but of understanding. And what you're about to discover may completely change your view on these biblical mysteries. Imagine a celestial scene where 24 mysterious and powerful figures sit on thrones around the main throne of God. These 24 elders, described in Revelation, are enveloped in an environment of divine glory, wearing white robes and golden crowns. John's vision, the apostle, raises many questions. Who are these figures? Do they represent the church? Or could they be some kind of celestial entity still not understood by humanity? These are questions that arise when we reflect on what really happens in heaven, leading us to think about the role of these figures in the celestial hierarchy. It is believed that these 24 elders are directly connected to spiritual authority. They are described not just as observers, but as active participants sitting on thrones that indicate royalty, leadership, and responsibility in the heavenly kingdom. This makes us reflect on how divine power is structured beyond what we can see or imagine. It's fascinating to think that the symbolism of this number, 24, might be related to the 12 apostles and the 12 tribes of Israel, creating a bridge between the old and the new, between earth and heaven. This gives the figure of the 24 elders an even deeper meaning. Have you ever stopped to think about what it would mean to be in a position of such responsibility? In our daily lives, we are surrounded by decisions that affect not only our lives, but also those of other people. Although we are not seated on heavenly thrones, we are constantly in positions that require leadership and discernment. Knowing that even in the heavens there is this organization makes us reflect. How can we bring more balance and wisdom to our decisions here on earth? And just like the 24 elders, do we also have a more important role in the great divine plan? Speaking of celestial hierarchies, let's now explore what's most enigmatic in Ezekiel's vision. Now imagine yourself in an open field, observing a storm in the distance, but what you see is not just wind and clouds. Ezekiel describes a spectacle of light and power that defies any human understanding. Immense wheels full of eyes moving in perfect harmony with angelic creatures. These wheels, present in his vision, still intrigue scholars today, not only for their peculiar appearance, but for what they represent. It's as if these wheels were the physical manifestation of God's omnipresence, showing that he is everywhere, always attentive, through his all-seeing eyes. The description of Ezekiel's wheels doesn't stop there. These rotating structures, which seem to transcend time and space, do not need to change direction to move. Imagine something that moves with total freedom, without the limitations we're used to seeing in daily movements. These wheels represent more than just a part of the prophetic vision. They are deep symbols of perfection in heavenly order. If we think about it, they teach us that what is above us operates in a different logic, a divine logic, without flaws or errors. This idea of limitless movement can be compared to how we should act in our lives. Many times we find ourselves stuck, not knowing where to go. But Ezekiel shows us that continuous movement, the search for new paths, is essential. Maybe what many people lack is the courage to move without fear, like Ezekiel's wheels, trusting that there is a higher plan guiding our steps. And if you could, in one way or another, see what lies beyond what your physical eyes can reach, Ezekiel's vision is just the beginning. Now let's encounter a creature so great and powerful that not even its creator would dare to approach it easily. Imagine a creature so immense that its steps make the earth tremble, a being so powerful that its creator is the only one capable of approaching it with a sword. The behemoth, described in the book of Job, is an animal that personifies the brute strength and magnitude of divine creation. Many believe it to be a hippopotamus or elephant, animals that, by themselves, already command respect. But the biblical description goes beyond the physical. It exalts the mystery and greatness of something beyond our control, something only God fully dominates. The behemoth reminds us that, no matter how strong or invincible man may feel, there are forces in nature that surpass us in every way. Its structure, its strength, and even its habitat are a testimony to God's majesty. The simple image of a being that moves its tail like a cedar transports us to a scene of overwhelming power. And it's interesting to note how the behemoth, an apparently peaceful creature, can symbolize both the beauty and terror of creation. In a world where we often feel in control, it reminds us that there are things much greater than us. Applying this idea to our daily lives, we can think about how we sometimes face challenges that seem as big as the behemoth. Those moments when we feel that nothing can move us, or when we are faced with something uncontrollable. Just as Job was challenged to deal with his own insignificance before this creature, we too can learn humility and acceptance. And what if we could face these behemoths in our lives with the same courage and faith that Job had? The behemoth is just one piece of the puzzle. Now get ready for a journey to the depths of the seas, where the creature called Leviathan awaits. In the deep abyss of the ocean, the Leviathan awaits, a creature so terrifying that no human would dare face it. Described in the book of Job and the Psalms, the Leviathan represents the uncontrollable power of nature and the fear of the unknown. With a serpentine body and ferocity that challenges any opponent, it symbolizes the forces of chaos that God controls perfectly. It's a clear image that no matter how much we try to dominate nature, there is always something greater that escapes our understanding and control. The Leviathan is not just a creature of myths. It makes us reflect on the invisible monsters we face daily. Who has never encountered a Leviathan in life? That difficulty that seems insurmountable, that makes us feel small and powerless. However, what the Leviathan really teaches us is that, even in the face of the greatest adversities, God's power is sovereign. He is capable of taming even the fiercest creatures, reminding us that there is order in chaos, a purpose amid the storms we face. For those who feel confronted by these gigantic challenges, it's important to remember that the Leviathan, as terrifying as it is just a piece in the great divine scheme. We are not alone in facing it, just as Job was not. With the right strength and unwavering faith, we can overcome what seems invincible. And as we dive deeper into this universe of celestial and mythological beings, we come to two guardians who protect the boundaries between heaven and earth, the cherubim and seraphim. Between heaven and earth, the cherubim and seraphim play a crucial role in protection and worship. The cherubim, described since Genesis, are the guardians of sacred borders. They were placed by God to protect the way back to the Garden of Eden, preventing anyone from returning to the lost paradise. Their imposing bodies and flaming swords are symbols of divine purity and justice. The seraphim, the six-winged angels, are responsible for incessantly worshiping God, surrounding his throne with praise and reverence, as described in Isaiah's vision. Cherubim and seraphim are more than mere celestial guardians. They represent the bridge between the mundane and the divine, between what we can touch and what we can only imagine. While the cherubim defend the sacred, the seraphim serve as agents of purification, as in the moment when one of them touched Isaiah's lips with a burning coal, cleansing his sins before his prophetic mission. These beings are the embodiment of divine perfection and justice, but they also make us think about how we seek our own purity and devotion in our daily lives. For those seeking to connect with the divine, the cherubim and seraphim offer a lesson in discipline and humility. They remind us that true worship and true service come from a purified heart and a mind focused on what is sacred. Just as Isaiah had to go through a purification process, we too must reflect on what we need to cleanse in our lives to draw closer to the divine. And now that we've seen these sacred guardians, a figure even more mysterious arises, a priest king who transcends the ages. Melchizedek. Melchizedek is a figure who appears enigmatically in the Bible, with no known origin, but with an importance that transcends generations. Described as the king of Salem and priest of the Most High God, he appears in the meeting with Abraham, blessing him after a victorious battle. Melchizedek is a unique figure, for unlike other biblical characters, there is no record of his lineage, nor of his beginning or end, which makes him a representation of eternal and unending priesthood, just as Christ would later be described. This priest-king is mentioned both in the Old and New Testaments, creating a powerful connection between the Old and New Covenant. In Hebrews, his figure is used as a type of Christ, representing a priesthood that does not depend on earthly descent, but on a direct connection with the divine. This makes us think about how sometimes the people who exert influence and leadership in our lives may not be those of greatest renown, but those whose actions speak for themselves, just as Melchizedek did when he blessed Abraham and offered bread and wine, an allusion to Christ's sacrifice. The absence of genealogy and the eternity attributed to Melchizedek challenge our understanding of time and spiritual authority. For those seeking spiritual guidance, this figure teaches us that true power does not come from titles but from actions and deep connections with what is sacred. Just as Melchizedek appeared and fulfilled his mission, we are called to recognize and value the opportunities to be a channel of blessing for others. And while we reflect on this mysterious leader, we prepare to understand the tragedy that befell one of the greatest angels, the fall of Lucifer. Lucifer, once one of the most glorious and powerful angels in heaven, became the most tragic example of pride and fall. Lucifer's beauty and wisdom were unmatched, attributes that placed him in a position of prominence among the heavenly hosts. However, it was precisely this beauty and wisdom that made him believe he could be equal to God. Pride took over his heart, and he tried to usurp the heavenly throne. As a result, Lucifer was cast out of heaven, falling like lightning, according to Jesus' account in Luke 10:18. Lucifer's fall was not just a matter of losing power, but of complete transformation. He went from being the bearer of light to becoming Satan, the adversary. This transition makes us reflect on how pride, when unchecked, can corrupt even the noblest. It is a reminder that, no matter how many gifts and talents we have, arrogance can be our worst enemy. Just as Lucifer lost his glory, how many people today, by letting themselves be dominated by arrogance, lose their opportunities for spiritual growth and in their personal relationships? It's interesting to think that Lucifer, even after his fall, did not cease his rebellion. He continues to seek to divert and corrupt God's creation, trying to lead us away from the truth. But just as he was defeated in heaven, he will also be defeated on earth, according to the divine plan. His fall serves as a powerful warning. True power and authority come from humility and submission to God's greater purpose. And after reflecting on the fall of this powerful angel, how about we turn our attention to what numbers reveal about these mysterious beings? When we look at the 24 elders described in the book of Revelation, the number itself already provokes thought. It is no coincidence that there are exactly 24 and not 25 or 12. The symbolism here is profound. 24 is a number that may be related to both the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 apostles, uniting the Old and New Testaments in a unique vision of spiritual authority. These elders, seated on their thrones, represent timeless spiritual leadership, being examples of wisdom and submission to divine will. In a world where numbers are everywhere, it's interesting to see how even the heavens are structured with a divine mathematical order. Ezekiel's wheels also bring a unique complexity. The description of these wheels is almost like that of a perfectly synchronized celestial system, with multiple eyes on the rims and 4 living creatures in perfect harmony. The number 4 here, associated with the directions north, south, east, and west, symbolizes God's absolute control over the entire universe. Every detail, from the shape of the wheels to their movements, shows us that there is no part of the cosmos that is outside God's gaze and authority. Just like Ezekiel's wheels, our own paths may seem complex, but they always fit into a greater plan. And finally, the behemoth, with its grandiose description, symbolizes the majesty of divine creation. The book of Job tells us that only the Creator can approach this creature with a sword. This impressive image gives us an idea of the size and power of this creature, highlighting how the number of its characteristics, its immense tail, its powerful muscles, are visible examples of the grandeur of what God is capable of creating. The behemoth reminds us that no matter how much we try to control the world around us, there are always greater forces at work. Now, how about applying all this knowledge and diving deeper into the practical lessons we can take from these numbers? Now that you've delved into the Bible's deepest mysteries, the question that remains is, how does this impact your life? Could the 24 elders also represent the need for us to seek wisdom and leadership in our lives? Or do the behemoth and leviathan show us that, no matter how immense the challenges, there is a greater power guiding every step? The Bible is full of symbols that apply to our daily lives, and it's up to us to discover how these lessons can transform our attitudes. So what are you going to do with all this knowledge? Will you continue living the same way, or will you begin to explore the deeper truths we've just revealed? Think about it and start applying what you've learned. If all of this made you reflect and piqued your curiosity, how about continuing this journey? Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you don't miss anything about these fascinating subjects. After all, what you don't know yet might be the key to unlocking much more.